What's going on, everyone? My name is Syed Askari, and welcome to the second episode of Contractor Chronicles podcast. The reason why I started this podcast is to share you some inspiring success stories from the industry, builders, architects, contractors who are growing, building their brands as the industry evolves. So let's jump right in. Today I've got a very special guest, the owner of G6 Design, a full A to Z design and build company based out of Socal. So he started his company back in 2017 to be different and change the negative perception of pool building professionals. Now, G6, by the way, have grown quickly as one of the hottest and most sought after builders by both homeowners and other builders as well. So this man has been known in the Southern California as the contractor's contractor, which we're going to talk about. He's been awarded as top 30 under 40 as the 2021 Pool Nation Builder of the Year, and also awarded as National Top 25 Pool Builders in 2022. That's amazing. So let me welcome you, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Vic Garcia. What's up, man?
How you doing, bud? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Of course. It's been quite some time since we last connected back at a Pool Expo in 2022, if I remember.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep. And one of my content creators actually got a hat from you. I don't know if you remember that.
Same one I got on now.
There you go. So, dude, I kind of want to I know we haven't had a chance to kind of dig deeper into your background. How did you guys start it? So I think this would be a perfect chance for kind of us to connect. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. Where did you grow up, and how did you get started in the construction industry?
Growing up, it's, everybody knows one of the cities that I kind of call home. I grew up in Compton. Parents were split up, so my mom lived at Baldwin Park, so I kind of shared my time between those two cities. So needless to say, it's both areas are pretty rough. So kind of just dedicated myself to sports, always good in school and all that. And I always knew that I had to get out of either of those cities. But yeah, I grew up in those two cities, went to the Navy right after high school, literally 2 weeks after. I did 6 years active duty, 5 deployments. Got my degrees in the military. So got an engineering degree, a bachelor's in technical management. And when I came out, it was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do? You go work and be an assistant at some big firm, and they're just going to have you look at plans. So I ended up working for the government. I worked for the Department of Defense. I was a systems engineer doing readiness assessment. And they said, hey, we want to balance our engineers. So you need to go back to school, get your master's, and focus on business, entrepreneurship. So they paid for it. I said, great. Part of that was, come up with a fake business, right? A business plan. At the time, my ex-father-in-law was in the pool industry. He worked for one of the biggest builders here in California. So I did it on a fake pool company. And, throughout that research, I saw all the things that contractors were known for, and quickly saw opportunities to be different. So, I did my capstone on this pool company that was focused on innovative, high-tech solutions, marketing in a different fashion of the traditional builders. And, I'd spent 6 to 8 months doing that research, and I said, well, this doesn't look that hard. It's just a hole in the ground, right? So it turned into...
It's just a hole in the ground. I can do that.
Yeah. So it turned into a little competition of, not anybody can do it, blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of just, let me show you that it's possible. So I was able to, start getting into the pool industry, helping out with designs first. So I started off helping out local contractors, mom and pop shops that had jobs, but just weren't good with computers. They weren't tech savvy. They didn't know what it would take to get the project to build. So I started with just designing. I mean, I was in Pool Studio when it first came out. Not a lot of companies were doing it. So here I was going to jobs, bids with a full render and ooh and ah, and showing the people what's the realm of the possible and what it's going to look like, and then handing over the project to whatever contractor hired me for that. So that went well for a little bit until contractors were contractors, and I started getting calls from homeowners. Hey, the guy took my money and left. They made a big mess and never came back. So I heard every horror story in the book, and I felt guilty because they associated me with them, and I got put in positions where, you know what, I'm not a contractor, but I know some people. Call this guy, he'll get you the shotcrete, or this person could do the coping for you. And that started to get overwhelming because there were so many of those cases. So I finally got one rich dude that I did his design. I called out all the top companies. They would tell me a number just straight through the plans. They walk up to this $10 million house and change the budget on the spot. They told me $500K on the phone based on all the specs. I had the engineering, everything spec'd out. And then they show up to the house and they tell the homeowner, oh, this is $1 million minimum. So this rich dude was not stupid. And he said, all right, they're just trying to take advantage of me because I'm rich.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, you design it, you're going to build this pool. So my first job was like my biggest job, and I had no employees, no connections, nothing. So I was basically consulting for him and he lining up the people, and that's where I said, well, this is not that hard, right? So that was the genesis of G6. That's why we're G6 Designs. That's what I started with.
That's crazy. So your first job was $1 million job.
It ended up being, at the end of the day, as the project ended up going like 2 years with so many add-ons, and it wasn't just a pool. It was, a fully loaded pool, but it turned into a cabana and an outdoor restroom and a parking lot and a 12-car garage. So the whole project itself ended up in the 2 million range.
That's insane. So that was your first year in the business. Were you scared? Like, I just got my first job and it's a $2 million project almost.
I think that's where my background and my day job, working for the Navy and there you're dealing with billions of dollars and massive construction, and you're building submarines and ships and identifying the key milestones and the project planning that goes into it. So again, I go back to, it's just a hole in the ground, right? If we can keep an eye and deliver an aircraft carrier in 4 years, why can't I build a pool in 8 weeks?
That's impressive. So you also work for Department of Defense. That's pretty impressive. What was that like?
A lot of people don't know this, but I'm still there. I'm still full time. I still work 9 to 5. I have a flex schedule, so Mondays and Fridays are usually like my flex days, but I have a full career. I'm 3 years away from retirement. So G6 was supposed to be just a hobby. It was just supposed to be, okay, let me help out a few friends here and there. And, the first year we did 3 or 4 pools. The second year we did about 10. The third year we did about 20. And that's kind of my happy number. Like I never wanted to be heavy volume because I don't have the time for it. I don't have the time for it. So I tend to be more boutique, intimate, a lot of referral stuff. I don't think I have the capacity until I'm able to do this full time. I would really, hit all the marketing and lead gens and all that to say, hey, let's build up 200 pools.
So it seems like you've got a pretty lean team right now, even at G6 Design, and with your full-time job. How do you manage, that's like a full-time, that's insane.
It is.
Still have that job.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but I have great people. My employees that are with me, 4 of them that run jobs they've been with me from the start. So they helped me out on that first project. They worked for some big builder and they saw the vision. They saw, the way that I operate and said, hey, we want to be a part of this. So they entrusted in me from the inception. And now, I have full trust in them. So I get the jobs to shotcrete, and then I have a sit down with them, go over the plan. Here's what we're doing. And they pretty much run the jobs. They have direct access to me, and I have no, worries when they're there that the job's going to get done. So if there's problems, like every job has problems, they'll call me up. Hey, Vic, they delivered the wrong tile, or, we're 50 square feet short on pavers, that kind of stuff. The daily fire drills, they have direct connections. So I still do not have a single project manager in this company.
And that's insane, man. That's the props to you for having a 9 to 5 and also, building this entire business from scratch. It takes a lot of effort. I know that. So
I think it's an advantage because, still to this day, I don't see myself as a contractor. I see myself as a guy with a side hustle that's really trying to help out people. And through this trade, I'm able to open up other doors and other opportunities for other businesses. I still don't see myself as a contractor. And I think, my online image reflects that, right? I try to help out everybody around me. I know some contractors suck, and here's the things that I see bad, and here's what I think we can fix as an industry. It's always been, how do you help the next person up?
100%.
Having a day job gives me the freedom to say who I want to work with, right? I don't look at every job like, man, I'm depending on construction 100%. So if I don't land one this month, I'm going to be hurting pretty bad. Let me just do it at their price or slash 10K off the bill because they cringed at the price. I don't have that problem. My life does not change a bit if I build one pool or 10 pools. It's the same thing.
That's awesome. Let's take us back to 2017. What inspired you to kind of like pivot from just a design consultant to like establishing a full scale, like design and build company? What was that? And I know that's what kind of like G6 started. What was that like?
It was more out of response to the demand, right? So I saw an opportunity to offer services from A to Z because I was dealing with all these mom and pop shops that were great at doing something, right? They were great at concrete, great at masonry, great at running jobs, but they didn't know the business side. So I would see companies pop up and, 3 years later when the audit comes in and they start cracking down on your licensing and workman's comp and all that, they go away, open up as another name. But I never really saw, or you had the big corporate companies that were pool mills and just subbing it out to a bunch of people. And I saw opportunity there. Like, hey, instead of selling all these jobs, attach yourself to the people that are selling jobs like crazy and don't have any employees. Yes. And we can do the B2B thing with that. So everybody wins. So I saw a niche to be able to say, hey, I design how I like to build, right? So I'm not going to draw some crazy thing that nobody can accomplish. I'm going to design it so it's profitable for the client because I'm not going to put this crazy stuff on a plan knowing, that it's going to make it difficult to construct. And then we know how to build, so we can build our own stuff. So for our, boutique clients, we can do some crazy stuff, have full control over it and the schedule, right? That's the main thing. When you're dependent on subs, you're relying on their availability, right? So that, during the rush and the COVID rush and all that, you were graded on how fast you can get things done. And it was hard to get a hold of anybody. So the good people were always busy. And if you wanted the guy that's available now, they're probably not the best people to have on your job. So I started growing as the demand came and as I got stuck on certain phases. So for a while, I was outsourcing all my plumbing. And I was being stuck. I would get the pool to shotcrete in 3 days, and then I'd have to sit around waiting for shotcrete for 5 weeks, right? So the homeowners tapping their feet, hey, what's going on? And I just started growing in certain areas. Now, some phases of pool building, to me, didn't make business sense to grow in, like shotcrete. I was trying to get a pump and a truck and all that. When I finally ran the numbers and I said, if I'm not shooting 6 to 7 pools a week, this is not worth it. I'd rather pay a sub, they have the rig, pay them the labor, pay the mud, and we're all happy and paid and moving on. I don't have a big $3,000 bill every month for this truck that I park because I only build 20 pools a year.
So do you guys do everything in-house now or just sub it out?
So the only thing I don't do in-house is shotcrete and plaster. So we have, pretty much, sometimes I'll outsource the digs and the steel, but we don't build a lot of pools, right? So it's kind of, we have plumbing, all the masons, the hardscape, the finishes, that's all our people.
How hard is it in Socal to find good subs?
There's a lot of talent in Socal. The definition of good would have to be, specified, right? So
reliable.
Reliable, good quality, stick to their word, deliver, and stand behind their product, right? So you can have an awesome mason, but if they tell you Monday and Monday turns into Wednesday and Friday and next week, they're not good in my opinion, right? To me, I kind of grade people by their word. Like, does this guy have credibility? I don't care how great of a finisher he is. If he doesn't show up to the job site or he's complaining the whole time, it's like, I don't want him there. Or you have the people that are, mid journey level trying to learn the game, but they're hungry for knowledge and they're doing the little extra things to make sure your jobs stand out, not trying to just screed the concrete and run the broom right after and go home by 10 o'clock, right? So you have those two that I would say are probably on the cheaper scale, but they're not good in my opinion because they're not making your job look good.
100%. How do you find reliable subs locally in SoCal? Like, are there builders? Are there any groups that you're in?
I'm
What's your
not,
process
man.
like?
I'm kind of, like I said, I still don't consider myself a
Yeah,
contractor. So I'm kind of like a lone wolf, man.
lone wolf.
Yeah, I'm not in any groups. I'm not in these gangs and none of that stuff. Like, I'll support them. Hey, hi, bye, high five, all that, good on you. But I just, I don't do that. So I feel like, to find good people, they're gonna find you. If they like the way you're moving, they like the message you're sending. I get DMs every day from people that are working at great companies, right? People that I work with, and they tell me, hey, you got any work? And I'm like, hey, but you work for so and such. What's going on? Well, we're kind of slow. We're driving too far. We see your jobs are in this area. I'm tired of going to San Diego or Los Angeles. Like, we want to stay in the IE. And people usually reach out to us.
Interesting. How did you come with the name G6 Design? Very interesting.
It's crazy, man. Unfortunately, I went through a pretty nasty divorce, right when I was starting this idea up. And I have 4 kids. Their last name Garcia, and I ended up getting remarried to, my high school friend. She had 2 kids, and their last names happened to be Garcia as well. And since this was, kind of just a hobby, a pet project, I said, hey, I may not be able to leave them $1 million someday, but I'll give them the vehicle, a brand that they can keep going if they so wish. So, it just stands for 6 Garcia kids. If they want to learn, business, accounting, project management, marketing, trades, engineering, it's all here. If not, I'm going to put this thing up for sale. The first, person with $20 million, I'll walk away.
Yeah. Hey, private equity is on its way for you.
Right?
That's awesome. Now, you want to be positioning yourself as different than other contractors. How do you do that through, I know you push a lot of content out, and I can see that the type of work that you guys do is way different than, an average contractor. So how do you position yourself as a different contractor?
When we first started coming up, like, if you go back 2017, 18, the social media pages were very standard marketing, right? It was always completed, finished pools with the little, banner, hey, call us for a free quote. And there was not a lot of education on the process. And when I spoke to homeowners, they valued understanding what it took to do it, right? When you tell somebody, hey, your plumbing is going to cost you $15K for this project. Whoa, what do you mean? It's just the pipe, right? Like, no, it's a whole bunch of pipes. And by the way, the pipes have gone up 300% in the last 2 years. And this is why your plumbing bill is what it is. Once they know, they can understand and appreciate the work. So from the onset, my direction and focus was knowledge. How do we spread the knowledge? So when I came in being an outsider, there wasn't a lot of people you can go to and say, show me how to build pools. Or I couldn't call up a company that was already established, already running, and saying, hey, how did you get to where you got? What are some things I need to look out for? Because it was the older generation. Now, we being in the information age and technology, like, now you go on Instagram and every company has a camera and a little mic and telling you how things are, right? So it's kind of like, 5 years forward, everybody's an instructor, a coach, a mentor. We didn't have that when we were starting out. Even just 5 years ago, it was, hey, Premier Pools, pool and spa, $45K, call us now. Mr. Carlos, pool, $399, whatever.
Yep.
And it was all just kind of canned marketing that you just kind of swipe because it's boring, right? So there was not a lot of engagement and hooks. And as people figured out the social media game and the big companies started seeing that, you started hearing Tupac on their reels, right? You never hear Tupac on a corporate company's reels. Now they do it because they say, hey, this company's being successful doing it. It's a copycat business, and that's okay. It is okay.
Recently, I don't know if you heard, like, TikTok kind of banned some of the trending music. This is totally random, but I thought I would let you know, because, like, some of our team members are like, hey, how are we gonna put some music on our video? I'm like, just make the video interesting. Gotta have a good hook, make the video engaging. Like, people are gonna watch it regardless. So you're spot on. A lot of people, the reason why a content goes viral is because the video itself is good. It's valuable, or it's so engaging that they just don't want to swipe up or down. And I see that in your content, like how you, just the hooks itself. How do you come up with that?
I know I have some friends that, they're a lot more successful on the social media game. And I know some tricks, right? Like for instance, this is an easy giveaway for everybody. If you find a top 100 song that you like and you get the actual song from, Drake, and you put the little 10 seconds in there, that is going to go into like a different bucket of viewers. But if you find that same Drake verse and somebody that mashed it up or has recreated it, you'll go from 200 views to 10K views just because it's not an original music. Because why is it? You just mentioned something really important, the TikTok thing. So the reason that happened is because TikTok had licensing with, Universal Music Group or whatever, and they have some big artists. They got Drake, they got, Karol G, they got Justin Bieber, they got, I don't know, a whole bunch of people that are popular. So the music group is saying, hey, you're making this stuff go viral. You're making money off of it. You're not paying your fair share for the work. So if you're not going to pay your fair share, we're going to pull all of our music out. So that leaves people like you and me who use that Drake song or, God forbid, what's the girl from the Kansas City Chiefs, the girlfriend, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of videos are going to be muted because they didn't want to pay the music group what it was. And now I have some clients that are really big dogs in the music game, and I know this very well. So there's sometimes TikTok is a reason why certain artists go viral, right? People get famous on TikTok before the world even sees them, and then it's like, oh, the full song's on Spotify or Apple Music. Let me go check it out, right? So now the music game is saying, hey, you guys need to pony up too. While TikTok is saying, we're the biggest, we made you famous, we're going to pay you what we want to pay you.
What's the most amount of views you've gotten on one of your videos?
I think 28 mil or something like that.
Yeah. Was that planned? Like you knew this video is going to go viral?
No, it was really early on. It was, if you look back, it was like 4 years ago, and it was just kind of a job walk and explaining the process of what's going on phase by phase before people were doing that. Now everybody does the transformation. Here's what we started. Here's what we got. Everybody does, let me hold the little furry microphone and tell you about this job. The stuff's getting kind of boring. So now I generate reels based on what I like. Like, I don't care if it's going to hit or not. I just want to say if it's valuable to me, I think it's valuable to a contractor or a homeowner, I'm going to put it out there. If it goes viral or not, doesn't really matter anymore. I mean, I don't have my stuff monetized anyway. I don't make a penny from TikTok or Instagram or YouTube.
You're like me. You just want to make valuable content. It doesn't matter if it goes viral or not. My team hates it sometimes because it's like, these videos are not going to go viral. I'm like, this is the type of video I love making. I'm like, I hate making those stupid TikTok videos. I'm like, it's just like, it's so draining. Like the energy. You've gone like it.
To me, it feels like you're always chasing the clout, right? Like if everybody's doing this is what, a drywaller does, and pause and put it, and then some sappy song comes on, like that gets old. Or, I'm a contractor. Of course I'm going to, whatever. And you start chasing that trend. Eventually you're stuck in that cycle and you lose sight of your vision and what you're trying to put out there. I could go back to my entire page and not be like, ooh, I need to delete this. This is annoying. It's not funny. It's not informational. But I can go through some pages where I'm just like, let me get out of here. Like, this is just junk. But it's poppy. It has 2 million views. You know what I mean?
So you've got 31,000 followers on IG right now. So did you grow that like on purpose to kind of get some jobs in, leads in, or was it like super unintentional? I'm just going to throw some videos out and kind of see what happens.
Yeah, no, it was super slow, man. I mean, I look at my stuff and I'm like, damn, I should have 1 million, but but it's like,
don't we all?
But I'd rather have, 10 people that are consistently engaging and commenting, getting back, than to have, 500K that are, robots and, just fake people. You want to attract the people that are going to hire you. So I don't really want a bunch of, people in India or whatever that are just, taking up space.
100%. Now, as putting these videos out on Instagram, Facebook has helped you build more trust with your customers?
Absolutely. 100%. I think that by far is the biggest value. So last year I had one of my clients and personal friend, they had a production company. They're like, you know what, man, you got a lot of good stuff. Like, you need a longer format. Let's try this little pilot on YouTube. And I was super green on YouTube. I had no idea how it worked. I was only using it to upload my designs and show my clients because the files were too big. And they're like, no, let's go out every Friday, hit some job sites, just be you. No script, no nothing, just run through the job. We'll film the whole thing. We started uploading 10 to 12 minute videos, long format. And now I can splice those and take some reels on the slow days to hit the algorithm, but it's all just free information, right? We're not charging for a group or coaching or none of that. It's like, this is what I dealt with. Here's the areas where I screwed up. And hopefully, some young person that's just starting doesn't fall into that trap, right? It could be simple as, what do I got to do to set up for an inspection to, hey, the rain's coming. Here's some things that you might want to think about, to here's this cool project and this is what you can get for a set budget. So we tried that. Honestly, it was a lot of work and it was my busiest time. I felt it took me away from my business because I had things like I was delivering material to the wrong site. I sent the guys to the job and material wasn't there. Like there were some miscues that I attributed to being out of sight and focused on doing that. So I'll do it again, but I want to tighten up my systems before I get back into that.
Before you get back to makes total sense. Why do you feel like a lot of I know a lot of big dogs in the industry, they are very heavy on content so that they can build trust and people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. But there's a lot of people, a lot of contractors are always I don't have jobs. I need my pipeline's dry, but you look at their social media, it's really one post from 2021. Why do you feel like no matter how much you put out content, like a lot of other people are not doing that?
I think it's one is just generational gap, right? I know a lot of builders that, like you said, have one or two posts or, have somebody running their page and they're just posting the same pool for the last 5 years and they do awesome work and they know vast amount of information. I talk to them person to person. I'm like, hey man, you got some gold here. Put this out there. Nah, that ain't for me. That's for you kids. And, and I said, look, man, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Nowadays, you can have a nice website, but before people even Google pool builder near me, they're seeing a feed and they're going to pop up. If they're looking at luxury stuff or backyard or renovations, I'm going to pop up before the company that's way better than me does on Google, right? So I try to tell them that part of it, for me, I use it as a screening. The information I put out, I know it triggers some folks. Like when I put out prices, those are my prices. That's what I do it for. Yes, I know Texas can do it for $40K in a 12-pack. Yes, I know that, it's $200,000 in Utah. Everybody has different conditions and I respect that. I understand it. But when people call me, I want them to already be pre-programmed with, oh, I saw what Vic can do for $130. Oh, I saw what he can do for $500. I'm somewhere in the middle. And when I show up, it's almost like they already know who they're dealing with. I am who I am. I'm not hiding nothing. I'm transparent on social media, transparent in real life. So when I show up, it's let's get down to business, right? Yeah. You know what I'm about. You know what I produce. You know what I can give you. Where are we at? Are we going to dance or not?
So you're pretty much pre-qualifying leads from your content. So it's like the content you put out, people watch it. They're like, okay, so this is how much it costs to get a backyard done. This is how much it costs for a pool. By the time they're talking to you, they're already sold. They're like, this is the guy I want to work with. Now let's talk what I want, right? Is that how it is?
100%. So I have people now, if I come out, we're just talking about what we're going to do. It's Vic, I got 150. What can you give me for that? And I was like, well, I don't want to go all the way to 150. I want to show you about, 135, leave you some wiggle room in case problems happen. And this is the best I can do. Oh, but what about the patio? And what about this? Okay, cool. Now you're pushing your envelope a little bit. Are you still comfortable? Right? So I never liked when salespeople say, oh, they filled out my questionnaire before they even set up an appointment. I have what the scope is, what they're looking for, remodel, new build, the area, any demo, and then kind of their general style. They like the modern stuff. They like the traditional. They like, some custom, the tropical. So I already know who they are and what they're after. And if they put my budget range is 65K, I just tell them right away, like, hey, our basic pool is X. This is impossible.
Yeah.
And through that education, it saves you a lot of time, right? You're not going to be for everybody. That's one of the hardest things, I think, as being a new builder. You get into this mode of, I want every single job and I want to make everybody happy. And you're going to quickly find out that it's a mission impossible. You want to get the clients that value what you provide. And it's okay if you're going to be the budget economical pool builder, perfectly fine. The best pool is always the highest quality that you can deliver for their costs. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, Danny Wang posted $1 million job. You're not Danny Wang, right? You're not Danny Wang. Danny Wang took a lot of, beat downs to get to where he's at, and it doesn't happen overnight. So it's okay. Like, people shy away from these, $70,000-$80,000 job, but you can do 10 of those in the time it takes you to do one $800K job, and the net is going to be the same.
It's going to be the same. Yeah, I think a lot of people looking at social media, they just compare like their chapter 1 with other people's chapter 20, like this saying. What's your sales process like? Because I feel like you get leads organically through Instagram. People are like ready to go because they understand, this is Vic, this is the guy I want to work with, this is how much he charges. I'm sure you're running a super lean team. What's your sales process like?
Yeah, so I have through my website, I usually direct people to fill out the questionnaire. It puts them on the calendar. Once it won't allow them to schedule time in my office. I have a whole design center where I'm at now. I have an architect intern that mans the office on Saturdays. People trickle in. We pull out their file and say, hey, it looks like you're in Cabina. You're looking for a pool and a spa and a fire pit, possibly. We have 2 monitors in the first lobby where we show them things that match their criteria, and we say, hey, this project was, X dollars, this one was Y dollars. Oh, I like this one better. Okay, cool. Once we figure that out and we're on the same page, in theory, within a ballpark of their budget, we'll graduate to the next room, pull out their Google Earth, supplant where they want to put the pool, left, right, back, center, where's the electric meter, what's the access look like, get after all those questions. And then my intern, Matt, he'll draft up a contract. He'll tell me, hey, this one's good, or hey, this one's a remodel, we really need to go to the job site. I'm usually in the field on Saturdays. He'll call me and say, hey, you need to go check this one out. And I'll put eyeballs on target and say, okay, yeah, this is how bad it is, or it's not that bad. And then we'll adjust the numbers, and then we'll send out a contract. Once we sign it, we'll do a full design for them, custom design for them, get it into permitting, and then, put it in the hopper.
It's awesome. Super, super easy. What are some of your challenges and some of the lessons you've learned since you started?
Some of the challenges have been trying to balance your passion with your overall, quality of life, right? Because, you hear all those motivational videos and all that, and I don't see any other way. If you're really trying to be the one and be the it, like, I got a bad habit or a good habit, like no matter what I do, I want to be the best. Yeah. If I coach football, I want to be the best. I want to win the championship. If I'm at work, I want to be the top dog. I want to be recognized as the him. In pools, it's no different. It's like, okay, it's part-time, but I don't want to be looked at like a little hobbyist, right? It's like, I want to be amongst the greats, and I drive towards that. So when you do that, initially everything falls out of the wayside, right? So your family, the conversations with your wife and your kids, hey, I told you that last week, and you have a million things in your brain and you forget stuff, right? So you're pleasing the world and neglecting those closest to you. That's probably the hardest thing that there is to manage as you're coming up. Now, once you're established, I would say, we're in year 5, 6 now. You start learning through damage, right? I tend to think everyone operates like me. I'm a, man of my word, of honor. If you say something, you do it. And when you start getting comfortable like that, you start, oh, don't worry about it. We'll add that for you before doing the paperwork and the change order and all that. You get to the end of the job and you're like, hey, remember that fire pit you added and the gas line and the automation? Yeah, you owe me 10 G's more. Oh, no, what do you mean? I thought it was all included. And there's millions of stories like that because contractors are sloppy. Yeah. So we like to get things done. It's easier just to jump in and do it versus taking the time, stopping and saying, hey, this is how the project's going to impact your schedule, your costs, and we need that taken care of now before we proceed, because I guarantee you'll finish that pool and you will not get paid.
Man, I tell you what, like when you said entrepreneurship's lonely, I couldn't agree more. Like,
right?
Since I started my journey, it's the same way, And one thing I've learned is like how important time management is between work and your family, your personal life. Like there's some times you're like working Saturdays and Sundays because you got to do what you got to do, right? Like, but at the same time, like other people don't understand what is that drive that's just taking you your time on Saturday and Sunday instead of you could be out partying, you could be out, doing, playing football, anything, right? But like there's that drive in you. There's like, I gotta be the best of the best in what I'm doing. And a lot of people just don't understand that. So there's like, you gotta manage time, set expectation, communicate. That's what I learned. Over communicate sometimes, even with like clients, like you said, like they want to add some stuff, communicate like how this is going to impact the project, what's going to happen next. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I could relate to that.
Yeah, I think all go-getters can.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. So I want to talk to you a little bit about like trust and transparency, because I think that's part of like some of the core values you have in your company and how you started this business. So can you elaborate on how your price lock and schedule guarantees have impacted customers' trust and your business reputation?
Yeah. So when I first started and I was being hired by a bunch of companies, I had the luxury of seeing their process, and I knew what the gimmicks were, right? It's like, oh, Mr. Carlos said he can build this pool for 40K. And then you start seeing, well, look at the reviews. This 40K turned into 97 because you have hardscape and it didn't have equipment and all that. So I saw all the gimmicks. I saw contracts. Since I was just a designer, the clients were open to saying, hey, thanks for the design. Here's the 5 companies that are bidding the job. What do you think? I'm like, well, this company is 5K less, but they're giving you plaster, and this was giving you pebble. Oh, and this one, I don't know why, but they don't include equipment. And sometimes the homeowners are like, whoa, I was going to go with this one, but not if it doesn't have equipment in hardscape, right? So I was educating them, and all that I learned, I said, okay, people want a no BS number. Tell me what it is with all in, not give me the lowest price that I'm happy with, and then find out that, oh, we're going to damage all your grass on the way in. Oh, that wall that we had to break down to get in here, oh, that's on you, but I can fix it for $1,500. I tell all my clients, I'd rather give you the scary number up front so you can say, sorry, thanks, but no thanks, than to give you the number that you're going to jump right on and then nickel and dime you all the way. I hate change order.
It's not a true apples to apples comparison, right? Like with other, I see that all the time, especially like some of the companies advertise $49.99 for $50,000 for a pool. But like once the customer ends adding all the bells and whistles, it's like $120,000 project. They got them in, they got the lead, but now it's like, whoa, I don't want to do this. It's like, I thought it was be 50K. You just set unrealistic expectation right off the bat because that price was literally just for the pool,
Right. It's the transparency piece is people just focused on closing the sale, right? We got salespeople. Yeah. They work off commission. Their job is get you to sign, get a deposit, put them in the hopper. They're going to get paid regardless. They're not really building it. And then you have the builders that are constantly battling with the salespeople. How'd you sell that so cheap? I'm never going to make this happen. And you get that battle. So the experience of the client is what matters, because that's what's going to carry you on. So if I have a client that I said, yeah, I can match Mr. Carlos, I'll build that pool for 50K. And then I nickel and dime for every single thing not on the contract. And at the end of the day, I'm at 120. Why didn't I just give them a 120 bid from the beginning and not bother them anymore?
I agree. What's been your, like, the most creative and I would say the most challenging project G6 Design has taken on?
It's funny. When I first started, I knew I didn't want to be average. I knew that I didn't want to do the little kidney beans. I didn't want to do rectangles and squares my whole life. So I didn't have that capability. So at my own house, I said, let me try all the things that I want to sell, right? So I did a reverse infinity edge. I did a sunken barbecue. I did a weeping water wall with fire in it, all the stuff that I wanted to show people that I was capable of. And my house is still the hardest house. Like, I got a whole bunch of stuff that don't work on it. And I had to learn it at my own residence so I don't mess up somebody else's house. I wasn't going to go sell you a 50-foot by 33, with, double infinity with a spa, zero edge and a wall before I can prove that I can do it. Right. So now we're at a level where, I realize what I did wrong. I know how to fix it. It's cosmetic, but I demoed it. My pool's been demoed for a year and haven't even got to it. That's the part a lot of people don't tell you, right? I try to keep it real. We have so many jobs that I thought, hey, the economy is going to crumble. The little whispers, hey, it's going to die down after COVID. So I said, hey, let's demo our pool during Christmas and keep the guys busy. Well, we never slowed down. So my pool's been demoed, and I'm probably going to end up hiring a pool guy to come do my own house now.
Oh my God, that's funny. You've been known as the contractor's contractor in Socal. Now, what does that mean to you? How did you get that title?
No, so I had a strategy from the onset. I knew that I didn't have the bandwidth to chase down leads and sell jobs. So one of the first things I did, I created a portfolio, my services and my prices. So I would do like price per square foot, lineal, all that for everything we did. And I blasted it off to all the builders that were in my area, the GCs, developers, big pool companies that sub everything out. And then I started, getting hired by them to do some things, right? Hey, we need coping on this job. So that quickly got us super busy because I didn't have to sell anymore. I was so tied up just doing work for others. And for a while, like after year 2, when I started, realizing that people are people and society as a whole changed, I got kind of burned out with, just blowing projects out and then waiting to get paid or holding up, $30,000 for, a hairline crack on a coping. And I just started, going into a real dark place where I was like, man, I don't even want to deal with people anymore. I'd rather deal with professionals. They know what they want. They're going to give me a task. I don't have to talk to their clients. I just go in there, blow out the work, make them look good, and we're all happy. So that was my strategy for 2 years. And at that point, I only built about 5 or 6 pools for myself. But we were so busy helping out big companies. And I learned their ways. I learned their project management. I learned their sales tactics. And I dealt with some that I don't deal with today for reasons that are business related, right? They don't stick to their word. They contract you for 1,000 square feet. You show up to the job, it's 3,000. And then they want to pay you the 1,000 square feet, right? So it got messy. And I said, you know what? They're cut off. This is a good company. Now I have a handful of companies that I still help out, but I'm very, critical of who I deal with these days.
Very picky. Makes sense. Is there someone you look up to in the industry?
Absolutely. My main man from day one is Danny Wang, man. He's my brother from another mother, man. He's my dim sum partner. So this guy reached out to me when I was first starting off. I think I had 3 posts on my IG and like 100 followers. And he reached out. I had nothing to offer him, right? He's like, who are you? You're new in the area. You're different. He could tell that it was different. And then I ended up helping him out with a job in Irvine. Right? Hey, I need plaster by tomorrow. Can you get it? Yeah, let me make some phone calls. Boom. Biggest pool I ever saw. It was the first time that I saw here. I thought I was expensive selling pool and spas for $75K, and I walk into $1 million backyard, right? So he was the first one to open my eyes to what's possible and give me that carrot, like, hey, I want to be here someday. But he also mentored me on pitfalls and what not to do, and don't think that it's all great, and you don't want to do so many. And he's had some trials and tribulations that he shared with me, and I respected that. This guy started off picking up trash at a construction site, transferred over to a designer, to now building these huge things, and he's a brand. So he's still my friend today. He's one person in the industry that I think on a daily we communicate. But yeah, I respect everything he does, and whenever he calls, I'll drop what I'm doing.
That's amazing. You gotta have mentors, man. You gotta have mentors if you want to grow, level up in any space. Gotta look up to someone who's done it. And yeah, I've got mentors in different areas in life. Like some for business, finance, personal, kind of like that. But there's levels to the game. Like you said, you were like, hey, I sold $70,000 project, but you enter $1 million back area. Like,
yeah, right.
So you've also gotten a Pool Nation Builder of the Year award. Big shout out to Zach and Edgar. I met them last year at the Pool Expo as well. So what was that like? How did you get that?
Honestly, I don't know how I ended up in that conversation. This was probably 2-3 years ago, but I think now I know that the Pool Nation forum is all about building the industry and your brothers and sisters and
network.
knowledge sharing and all that. And at the time, I was doing a lot of, trying to build up other builders. Like all my content was focused on, hey, you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to start this, here's some things to look out for. Yeah, we had a few projects and all that, but it wasn't compared to, what Ryan Hughes was doing or what Regal was doing, or, those are companies that I looked at and were like, man, dude, they got it going on. So I would say that it was more of a, voted by the industry pros, and they appreciated what I did. So I don't consider that I built the best pools that year, or I built the biggest company, or I made the most money. I think it was what you were doing for the pool industry as a whole. And
that's amazing.
That's why I got that award.
They've got an amazing thing going on there. I love what they're doing, especially like, I don't know if you know about it, like they came up with a new app like for pool builders, how to start up, a pool construction company, how to, get licensing, all that. So it's pretty amazing. I was talking at the pool expos. They showed me the app and everything. They have like different courses in the app, just sales, marketing, project management, operations, things like that. Just collaborating and like, bringing all of that knowledge in one app. I think that was a game changer, because like you go to like 20 different websites, you're like overwhelmed. Like, where do I even start?
Right.
So their goal has been like to just consolidate all of that in like just one app. So if anybody watching this, definitely check that out. I'll drop the link to their app after our podcast. But like, that's one of the best apps I've seen, like specifically for just like the pool contractors. So I guess like kind of wrapping up here. I know it's about time. So Vic, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to break into the backyard design or construction industry, or been there but just stuck at like, a certain revenue level?
Yeah, I would definitely say to attach yourself to somebody or an organization that you're aspiring to be, right? You watch their moves. If you reach out directly, I mean, I respond to everybody's DMs, man. I get young people that are exactly what you just described, right? They're aspiring to be something else. Either they're doing landscape and they're thinking about pools, or they're in a complete separate business. They're real estate agents and it's harder to sell, and they're seeing construction. They like being creative. And I respond to all of them to help them with, these are the steps to get started. But, everybody's not as receptive or open to giving that information. So then you have to find professional groups like the Pool Nation Forum, or, Cali Pool Tech guys that are going to help you. Hey, I want to stand up this business and get into it. Now, on the design side, I mean, I would look at what the best designers are doing, who has the style that you like, and then, find those courses. You can get pool studio training for free on YouTube, go through all the modules, and it's going to tell you how to do a pool. Now, you want to get it more advanced and learn SketchUp and Lumion and Twin Motion. That's a little bit more advanced. You're going to spend some money. But nowadays, there's so many mentorships and training groups that are available to young starters. But, I would say focus on building that capability and your craft before you decide to say, let me go spend, $20,000 a month and get phones ringing if you can't develop it. Right. So, because at the end of the day, you can deliver, let's say 100 leads to somebody. And if they make 100 people unhappy, you're probably not going to want to work with them.
That's where reputation is key in this business. And I always tell our clients, like, if you want to network and form an alliance with other contractors so you can learn and get value, like get out of that mindset of like, he's my competitor. I don't want him to know like what I'm doing. Like, there's always something to learn. Like, it doesn't matter if he's got a 5 years experience, 10 years, there's always something to learn from everybody, right? I've always been a big fan of that. What's the next 5 years for G6 Design, man?
Honestly, the next 5 years, I'm hoping my kids, I got 2 girls. They're 2 years away from being out of school. My youngest is a freshman. I got a son in the Navy. He's got to do 6 years. He'll be out, in time with the degree and everything. And then I got a son in high school now as a junior. So hopefully get them enrolled and take some of the task off my back, whether it's manning the office and intake, foot traffic, or, handling some designs or some sales, or, hey, driving a Bobcat, digging a hole. So I really want to get the family involved in that because that was the vision from the beginning. And now they're hitting that age group where it can be a reality. As far as realm and what we're venturing into, I just like creating, man. I'm not a pool guru. I'm not a fanatic of backyards. I like the whole thing. I want to see an empty lot. I want to build a house from scratch. I want to build boutique hotels. I want to do Airbnbs with sick backyards and just personal investments that, you're not dealing with clients. You're taking your money, you're taking your friends' money, investors, and you're your own client. So I have freedom to do whatever I want at, how I want, when I want, and make it as cool as I can make it. And I think that's really where the creativity is going to blossom. Right now, I'm dependent on clients' budget and their minds. Whereas if I do some crazy house in Palm Springs, I can do whatever I want, and people are going to rent it because they've never seen anything like that before. So that's where I see the next 5 years going. Definitely with Matthew, his internship is going to be up. He's graduating this year. He's a full-blown architect. He specializes in hospitality. So I'm going to build hotels and houses and mega mansions, and the pool is kind of like the cherry on top.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see what you accomplish, man, in the next 5 years. It's going to be exciting. If anybody wants to connect with you, kind of talk to you, see, just want to get some value out of you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Honestly, man, Instagram, I'm easy to reach. I have nobody running the page, so you want to reach out, G6 Designs. I'm the guy. Shoot me a message. I'll respond right to you. If you want some canned videos or how-to, I have everything from pulling permits to digging on YouTube. You can go there, same handle. And if you just want to get some laugh and entertainment, then that's my TikTok site. All under the same handle, G6 Designs.
Great. Vic, it's been a pleasure talking to you and amazing getting to know you a little bit better. But everybody else, appreciate your time, and I will see you on the next podcast.